We're back with Bitcoin Radio. Thanks for watching. Alex Solis, Augi Schmitz. Let's talk Bitcoin. All right. So now the question here is, what is Bitcoin? Where is it from? Who made it? Whatever. Nobody cares. The only people.
Well, how is it made, Alex? How do you make it?
Through a mining machine, a mining rig, I should say.
And what does it do? What's that require?
So Bitcoin. It requires a computer system to hack the code of Bitcoin. So this is what Bitcoin is, guys. Who doesn't know what Bitcoin is? This is what it is, guys. I put an answer into a problem, and now it takes a big supercomputer to solve this problem. Now, once the supercomputer solves a problem, they get a reward. So it's just every cycle. You solve the problem, you get a reward. Solve the problem, get a reward.
How many Bitcoins can they produce at a maximum?
21 million.
So 21 million for all the people that are invested in Bitcoin. They can have some portion of that 21 million, right? So if you make the each coin worth,
that's the investor part. Remember, that's the investor part. To own a share, a piece of the 21 million is the investor part.
Yeah, of course you're doing that. All I'm asking is, if that's true, and you have 21 million coins, and you want to have 10% of those coins, that means you're going to have 210,000 coins. And the value of each coin is whatever the market will bear, and what you can sell it for at whatever point.
No, that's not what it is.
Oh, okay.
What Bitcoin is, it makes its own market price. So
without people, right?
It needs people. It needs human beings. So without human beings, Bitcoin doesn't exist. So Bitcoin needs human beings to speculate. And Bitcoin, it basically puts out a certain number of difficulties and whatever, every couple of years, every couple of blocks mined. So every couple blocks mined, eventually it gets rarer and rarer and rarer.
Why?
Because that's what the algorithm says so.
Oh, really?
So if no human picks it up, who cares about Bitcoin? But because we play with it, we play the game. Now, the game of Bitcoin is we get rarer every year. And
why?
That's Bitcoin's up.
Now, you're not saying why, though.
It's the algorithm. It's
that's
I'll say it in basic terms. It's very difficult to explain.
But an algorithm is a mathematical formula for creating a Bitcoin. And once you create each Bitcoin, you have one Bitcoin of the 21 million.
Yes.
So if you have one and it's worth $50,000, let's say, it's a lot of money.
Yes, but the difficulty to make that $50,000 Bitcoin becomes 3 times more difficult next year, because Satoshi said so. It's the way that he made the system. So now you need a bigger computer.
The electronics and the machinery can only produce so many. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
A bigger computer now. Oh my God! Now I need a bigger computer.
So
it costs more.
21 million starts to get, when that gets bought up, then people start selling and reselling within the 21 million, right?
No, that hasn't happened yet. Let's say only 15 million Bitcoins have been printed. For 16 million to be printed, the difficulty to print the 16 million is twice as hard now. The difficulty to print 17 million is 3 times as hard now. It always gets harder.
So what you're saying is they printed off 21 million, and now you're saying they only printed out 17 million or 16 million or whatever.
No, the blueprint says in Bitcoin, the white paper says in Bitcoin to be politically correct. We will only print 21 million coins.
That's the max.
To get there, the difficulty will be twice as hard every time.
To go beyond the 21 million.
So let's say if you want to print one Bitcoin, you have to solve one math problem. Okay. Next year, you have to solve 3 math problems.
Now, that's an algorithm. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, the algorithm gets harder and harder every Bitcoin, basically.
Well, Alex, I think you've got some questions here. I don't want to be argumentative with you about it, but I do think it's a little bit hard to understand. If you've got 21 million produced, when do you hand those out or give those out or credit that?
You mine them. No.
That's the people who produce them, the miners. The people who buy them are not miners.
No, you mine them. No, you mine them. As a company, I dig them. I dig them out. And in order to dig them out, I have to solve math problems, math equations. Very hard. And they get harder and harder every Bitcoin, basically.
You're not explaining why it's harder and harder.
Because it makes a Bitcoin more rare.
That's
print a million out easily. The more harder it is to print out, the more rare it becomes.
Why are they harder and harder?
Because the math problem becomes harder and harder. You need more computer power to solve that problem, which is called hash power. You need more hash power.
This is when I become the contrarian. This is when I say you're not making any sense, not let alone Bitcoin.
I'm not making any sense because you don't understand the computer system.
I don't think anybody, and I think your audience doesn't understand that either.
They don't need to understand that part. What they need to understand is a Bitcoin is a store of value, and it protects your money as well. It's not only a store of value. You can protect your money. You can protect you basically hedge against inflation. You hedge against.
I think now you have a problem. I think now you have to say to your audience, tell me what you think of my explanation.
Well, tell me what you think of my explanation of Bitcoin. I fully believe Bitcoin is a result of a really hard math problem. That's what a Bitcoin is.
I don't think that's a very good answer. Let your audience ask you, what kind of math problem are you able to do, Alex?
Well, this is where we're here on Bitcoin.
Sorry about that, Alex. I'm a tough questioner.
Just buy a Dogecoin. Just buy a Dogecoin, guys, and good luck.
All right.
We have fun here at Bitcoin Radio. We're not here to target anybody for not knowing. Bitcoin is very complicated. Bitcoin is very, 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 very complicated, especially for the older generation and people who don't understand.
I don't think the young understand. I don't think the young understand it either.
The young are more acceptable to that. The whole world's going.
I think people want to. I think there are people who want to accept things just to accept things. That's true, but I don't think they understand it. Not based on what you've explained. I'm not stupid here, and the people out there are not stupid. So you don't explain it very well, and that's your job, is do a better job of explaining. I'm your friend, but I'm telling you, you need a simpler understanding. And if people are going to trust the Bitcoin thing as a future, and I don't mistrust it because I think corporations, banks, and everything else through block exchange are going to use this facility. How they use it and whether or not they sell or don't sell Bitcoin is to me in addition to that. But the facility of blockchain is necessary in some parts of business. It's unavoidable. It's a necessary thing. But speculating on the value of a Bitcoin itself is where you get into trouble. And that's where your job is going to get tougher.
But the problem here is The people who haven't invested in Bitcoin have made no money. The
Oh,
people,
yes. Oh, now, Alex. Now
opinion. So they made his
now
opinion.
and I disagree. The speculators make the money on the suckers, and when you blow up the price like DOGE, that Mr. Elon Musk has done to try to sucker people into buying that crap, and then dump it back like Jamie Dimon did. Now you remember what Jamie Dimon did. He discredited Bitcoin for a long time by doing that kind of pump and dump shit, and that's what you have. So you have the job of the being the acolyte or the believer in Bitcoin, of explaining it so that Joe Blow can invest in a half of a Bitcoin at $25,000 or a quarter to $12,000 or whatever it is, because there's a value that he's going to get back and he can trust that value. That's your task. You're the host here. I'm just the co-host.
And that's where you made $0 in Bitcoin.
Well, anyway.
So you listen to Augi, you make zero. He has a track record of $0 in Bitcoin, guys. Even if I made $5, I'd still made more than Augi did in Bitcoin.
You're right.
Because the thing is,
one more thing.
You're not ready to be
one more thing. In order to make money, if I give you money and you say I'm going to make money, or you going to invest in Bitcoin, how do I give you the money or give someone the money, and how do I get it back?
We have currently a lot of different exchanges to help you out. We have the most popular Coinbase, second most popular Cash App.
Who's we?
Americans.
No. Who is we?
We as Americans.
You said we have the most popular. Who's we? What's the name of? What is the person?
Coinbase.
Okay, but so they can go to an ATM and there's Coinbase on the right side. Says Coinbase over here. How do they do that?
Take the money out the ATM. You have to find a Bitcoin ATM, which is very popular at this moment.
So how many do they have in Bradenton where you live?
More ATMs. There's more Bitcoin ATMs at this moment than cash ATMs, which is crazy to say.
All right, give me one location of one Bitcoin exchange in Bradenton. One, not two or three or five.
Shell, Cortez Shell, right next to McDonald's and Taco Bell, and I was a manager at that place for 2 years.
So so when they walk up to an ATM for Bitcoin, what's it look like?
A regular ATM. The only thing is it has a scanner on it. The only difference is you can scan your phone to scan your wallet, basically.
So and that's at the corner of what and what?
I'm not sure, but it's right across from Goodwill, right next to Taco Bell. It's on Cortez. It's the only Shell on Cortez.
So it's on somewhere. Is it near the water tower or is it further?
Right across from Andy's old restaurant.
Oh, it's up there by McDonald's there. So
yeah.
it's east of the water tower.
So that was the Mecca ATM and Mecca Bitcoin place, basically. And you was a part of it, so was I.
Right.
We went to the
many meetings there. It was very interesting. So yeah, I understand. I'm glad for you and what you're doing. I think you got some tough questions to answer, but nonetheless, you'll put it together, and I'm sure people will want to trust you to do the advice. So where is the market? Let's get off of Bitcoin for a little bit. Where's the market going itself? Right now, it jumped back up about 500 points today.
So let's talk about the market. Where's Bill Gates going? Because that's where the market's going. If Bill Gates has a hard time, we're gonna have a hard time in the markets. We need to trust that
Bill Gates is in trouble, and
big trouble.
And you know, his wife, when they interviewed his wife when they first met and how they met and so forth. She says, "I saw he was coming to a meeting, and I grabbed the seat next to him." And she said basically she hit on him, and he bought it, and he made the conditions of their marriage and 3 children later. the story that someone revealed recently is that the bargain was he could continue seeing an old girlfriend. How often was that, Alex?
It is a weekend a year. I can pull up the exact if you want. Bill Gates said it himself.
So he basically bargained with his new wife, that he had children with later on, that he would see an old girlfriend once a year for a weekend, right?
Yes.
He always had something to look forward to. So anyway, so
her name was Anne Winblad. His ex-girlfriend Anne Winblad.
who's that? The old
That's Bill
girlfriend?
Gates. Yeah, that's the one he told Melinda he was gonna see every weekend or every year, whatever.
Well, what he set the terms of their marriage, though, didn't he?
Yes, Bill Gates, and he was outspoken about it. He wasn't shy.
Right. But he didn't tell his wife about his relationship with Epstein in 2011, when he was really involved with Epstein.
We don't know if he told her or if he didn't tell her. I mean, maybe he did, and that's why she was like, you know what, it's over with. I can't. This is too much.
Now, why would she do that? Why would she be saying something like that? Because of her children, right? The three
What?
children they had. Why would that matter? Because Epstein was messing with children. Here, the father of her children was messing with other children, I would say, if that's true. But that relationship would suggest that it might well be true. Not saying it is true necessarily, but it sure is smacks of a dangerous situation to have your children know that their father is out messing with children. That's just not good. And if the father were a priest, you'd better understand it.
That's funny. That's gonna rattle the markets. That will rattle the markets. Think about that. Bill
I
Gates.
don't really think that's true. I think it's not going to affect the markets at all.
I think.
But what's going to matter with the markets? I mean, you can. I'm glad you're involved with Wall Street and all of that, but this market is going to matter about how much the corporations take part in the infrastructure effort. Because when FDR did it back in 1935, the corporations were glad to see people working because money would come back to the banks and so forth, and the people working would make that happen, and the economy would come back, which is what it did. But the not doing the tax on the wealthy would be a mistake. You have to tax the wealthy and the corporations somewhat equally to support that effort, which is what happened in 1935 with a 75% tax rate after you made your first $1 million in those days. So the next dollar after the first million you made within a year, this is tax on individuals. It was the very next dollar was 75 cents of that dollar. Not prior to that, but up to that point. And when World War II hit, the tax went to 91%. And it remained that way all the way through the Eisenhower administration, a Republican president, to 1960. And when Kennedy came in, he lowered that tax back to 70%. And that tax remained all the way to Jimmy Carter. And when Jimmy Carter left office, all the infrastructure was built, the country was rebuilt, and we owed nobody any money. We had no debt. We paid for everything. We built everything brand new. And that all that Biden is trying to do is go back to that kind of economy. The stock market is not sufficient to make the entire country move, but the government can do that through the Federal Reserve. So that's what they're up to. So that is why I'm not too worried about the economy falling apart. It's that's my view. But you're the market man. So what I would like to hear you tell people, and you're pretty good at this, what particular markets to invest in. You told me something about hydrogen electric because that's the one that's not straight electric batteries and things like that. What's the story on that, Alex?
What we're gonna do is we're gonna close the show, and hopefully people will watch the next one to listen. Here we go.
All right.